welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we are going over UFC 282, Blachowicz versus Ankalaev. First things first, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there is social media, there is the Stats and Stacks podcast. This was going to be one hell of a card. Card fell apart, in all honesty, but it's still a decent offering. Do I think it's a great pay-per-view by any means? No. But there are some exciting fights, and the most exciting fights are the ones that people don't even realize are exciting. So, although you're missing all of the name value, you at least have some fun fights to kind of keep you entertained. So, again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into the card here. The very first fight of the night is one that was I'm a little weary on. It's a little weird. We have Cameron Simon at minus 325 going up against Stephen Kozlow at plus 270. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 130. Under 1.5 at plus 100. We're gonna start with Cameron because we know him. He is a kid coming off of the Contender Series, and when I say kid, I mean kid. Look at him; he's 21 years of age. He had a good win against Josh Wayne Kim on the Contender Series, battled some adversity, came back and got the KO finish. All in all, he has a really, really good striking pedigree. He's a good striker. He's South African, trains over with Driscus Duplessis, over with JP Bays. Pretty much the best South African camp there is where he trains out of. You can take a step back. You can back him up a little bit on the feet, but all in all, he seems pretty comfortable there. That's where he wants to fight. I don't know a ton about his ground game. I don't know a ton about his wrestling because doing the fight tape, I didn't see a lot of it. I saw him on top, and he looked perfectly fine on top. I don't really know much about him off of his back. So, if he fights a wrestler, where a submission ace, that's where you could have a little bit of an issue. And that's kind of what he has here in Stephen Kozlow. Stephen, I don't know enough about either. I know he's also undefeated. He's also very, very young. So, I mean, in all honesty, neither one of these kids should probably be in the UFC. They should both probably still be on the regional scene with only just 6 wins here. He's taking this fight on short notice, so that's another important thing because they must think highly of Simon because he was going to fight Ronnie Lawrence, and that would have been a murder. So now he has a completely different style with Steven. Steven's wrestling, I wasn't overly impressed with watching the tape. All of his wins are by submission, literally every single one. And a few of them, he is content to play off of his back. So he does concern me a little. Looking at some of the guys he fought, they were 0-2, 0-0, 2-7, 6-8, 1-1, 4-4. No one has had a winning record that he's fought, and he has all first round subs. So we have no idea what his cardio is like. I have no idea what he's like on the feet because all he does is try to wrestle you right away. I don't know, man. This is a greasy fight. You have a 21-year-old making his UFC debut, fighting a 25-year-old making his UFC debut. I have a tendency to go grappler over striker, but at least Simon has fought on the Contender Series in front of Dana. And honestly, if this kid's nickname is Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow, I can't put money behind that. I think it's way too much talk. I think you should stay away from this fight, in all honesty. The over 1.5 is the only way I would look. I don't know how Steven's cardio is, but he's 25. You have to assume it's okay. Simon doesn't. He has a decent amount of power, but if he can keep it on the feet, if he can stay safe, whatever. I'm just looking at the over 1.5 is the only way I'd even think about betting this fight. So the pick is Cameron. The bet would be the over 1.5, but I'd stay away. Next fight of the night, you want to talk about the unknown. We have Daniel De Silva, aka Daniel Lacerda. He has like 3 different names at plus 175 going up against Vinicia Salvador at minus 205. Over under set again at 1.5. Over 1.5 is plus 160. Under 1.5 is minus 195. And you heard that right. The over 1.5 in a flyweight fight is plus 160. That is all because of Daniel De Silva. He's so fun. I've bet this guy 3 times in a row, and he's lost 3 times in a row. He's just fun to watch. I love rooting for the guy. But good Lord, does he have cardio issues. He's 26, super young, ever improving, moves forward nonstop. He's extremely hittable on the feet. But when he's on the feet, he's pretty flashy. His striking's not terrible. Even though you can hit him, he does hit hard and he can put your lights out. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. He's a really, really good jiu-jitsu practitioner. His wrestling's not bad. He took down, I know Jeff Molina doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he did it with ease. The major issue with this kid is his cardio. If these were one-round fights, I mean, he'd be a top 15 guy. But the UFC is 3 5-minute rounds, and this guy cannot go 15 minutes. So it is a roller coaster watching this kid. I guarantee you he comes out and starts to win every single time. But then his cardio always fails him and he loses. So it's really contingent on can he go out there and get a finish. I mean, looking at his record, first round finish, first round finish, first round finish. He has nothing but first round finishes. When you go and you look at his opponent, is his opponent going to be able to survive? The answer is I don't know. Vinicius, he didn't impress me much on the Contender Series. He's the one that beat Shannon Ross, but Shannon Ross had some sort of really, really concerning medical injury going into that. So it kind of took away from the win a little bit, to be 100% honest with you. Outside of that, all of his wins are finishes as well. First round, second round, first round. He has a third round finish in here, but he has nothing but finishes. He's never gone to a decision. So that's why the over-under is the way it is. My thing with him is he has pretty good striking. He's a little bit hittable as well. Super high volume. He just has a little bit of that tall man defense to where he doesn't really keep his guard up. He just moves his head back with his chin straight up in the air, and someone's going to clip him. Is it going to be Daniel? I don't know. I have no idea. I know Salvador also seems to slow down a little. His cardio is nowhere near as bad as Daniel's, but it's not good by any means. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is a little questionable. I mean, he's been tapped out. He has been grounded out. He got ground and pounded down on the ground. So, I mean, a lot of his stuff when he's off his back doesn't look particularly good. But he hits hard, man, and he's a good striker, long, lengthy. He beat the shit out of Shannon Ross on the feet, but he seems to have a pretty significant reach advantage in most of his fights. He's not going to have that here, so I don't know if that's going to affect him. He hasn't fought the greatest competition in the world either, so I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with this fight. If anything, I think it's going to be a stand-up war. I think it's going to be fast, and I think it's going to be a matter of who hits who first. So I do like the under, but if I plus 175 on a 50-50 fight, god damn, I'm going back to the well. The pick is going to be Daniel. The bet is going to be Daniel. Just because he has more ways to win. He can knock him out because the dude hits like an absolute truck. But if he does take him down, again, Vinicius's ground game was a little shaky, and Daniel's is very, very good. He could just take him down and try to submit him. More ways to win. Give me Daniel at plus money. Next fight of the night, we have one of my sneaky favorite fighters in the UFC. No one knows about. Eric Silva is a minus 110 going up against TJ Brown, minus 110 straight across the board, straight pick 'em. Over under set at 1.5 again. Over 1.5 is minus 175. Under 1.5 plus 140. The UFC expects fireworks these first three fights. And again, no one knows who these people are, but they are killers, every single one of them. As the biggest killer might be Eric Silva. He is good stand-up, man. I didn't think it was that good initially, but you see the improvement in each and every fight, and he hits hard. It was always he hit really hard, but was not really technically sound. He's getting pretty technically sound on the feet, and it didn't take away from his power at all. Great on the ground. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt will tap you out in a heartbeat if you touch the ground, but the kid is a finisher. I mean, when you look at his record, first round finish, first. He does have a decision win. He has 2 decision wins, showing that he can go to the distance, and then another first round win. So good things to see there, that he can go a full 15 minutes as well as get the finish real early. I love that. I have not a ton of knowledge about his cardio. I couldn't see his 2 decision fights, so I don't really know how they looked. But it's good to see that because I'm not sure about his cardio. But the kid is fun. He's just exciting. You want to talk about people who love Tito Vera? He's from the same area, man. This kid is ridiculous. He's just a more explosive Tito Vera. And he's not just coming in here, young Contender Series guy. He's 35 years old. He's not young. This is the premier version that we're gonna get, and he has some okay wins on his record. He started off as a little bit of a can crusher, but it's okay wins. This is the version we're gonna get, and honestly, I like what I've seen thus far. It's just a fun finisher. On the flip side, we have TJ Brown, who is someone I continuously try to fade. He has a good wrestling pedigree. But although he has a good wrestling pedigree and he can offensively wrestle, he has a 41% takedown defense. So that's concerning. And Eric Silva can wrestle. His jiu-jitsu is pretty decent with TJ Brown. The striking, it's serviceable. It's not good, but it's all right. But the thing is, he's a wrestler with bad takedown defense. He's pretty decent on the ground, but has been choked out. Like I'm very concerned. I don't know what is wrong with him. Oh, honestly. And the last part of it, he is a Glory MMA product. So we all know about the stuff going on with James Krause and the betting and all of that. Who knows who's even going to be in this man's corner? I want no part of this by any means. He has terrible wins and he has terrible losses. Like Trey Ogden is not a good loss to have on your record. Neither is Jordan Griffin. He's been cut from the promotion. Danny Chavez. It's not the greatest. Oh my God, the Wolverine, Shellyan Mbeki in his last fight, he looked absolutely terrible. I can't trust TJ Brown ever. I did bet him against Kai Kamaka, got the plus money, and vowed to never bet him again. And that's what we're going to keep doing. We're going to fade and we're going to trust the hype train in Silva. So the pick is going to be Eric Silva. The bet's going to be Eric Silva. Next fight of the night, we have one of the finest fighters to come out of Buffalo, New York. We have Billy Quarantino at minus 165 going up against Alex Hernandez plus 140. You heard me right. This is a 145-pound weight class, and we have Alex Hernandez there. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 160. Under 2.5 plus 130. Let's start with Alex because I don't know what to think about this move to featherweight. He was never a huge lightweight. But it's not like he was fat by any means. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks on the scales. Please pay attention to that as we haven't seen him at featherweight in the UFC. And his striking's good. It's very good. He's at a good camp at Factory X Muay Thai. He has 64% takedown defense. That's a little concerning, but he will have a 2-inch reach advantage in this matchup. His jiu-jitsu is also a little concerning. He's mostly just a stand-up guy, in all honesty. He hits like an absolute truck. Don't get me wrong. Knocking up a Neil Dariush is not easy. Coming out here, well, whatever. Chris Guttmacher knocking him out in 1 minute. Now, that's not easy. Mike Breeden knocking him out in 1 minute. That's not easy. Like, the dude hits like a truck. He's a very, very, very good striker. Very technically sound. My only issue with Alex Hernandez is the fact that he has a pretty bad gas tank. You will see him fade as the fight goes on. And that seems to just be his kryptonite. He goes out there, he looks phenomenal in round 1, and then he fades, and round 2 is kind of up in the air. Round 3, he can barely stand up. Like, he just does not have the cardio that he needs. Even when you look at his losses. Look at this. Round 2, win all 3 rounds and lost. Round 2. Jamal Emmers won all 3 rounds and lost. So every single one of his losses, he either lost a decision or he got finished in round 2. That is the definition of fading. He is a round 1 killer. This seems to be a common theme this entire card. Round 1 killers, and then they start to fade. So you have to look at the other side. Does the other side have cardio with Billy Q? The definition of cardio is Billy Q. If you look up cardio in the dictionary, you'll see Billy next to it. And that's why I think he's an absolute lock this week. He does not hit hard by any means, but he is death by 1,000 cuts, and he continues to punch and punch and punch. I've seen him wobbled before, but I've never seen him actually like put out cold. He's awfully durable, so he should be fine in regards to the Alex round 1. But the longer this fight goes, the more Billy Q will take over. We have seen his wrestling improve. He even took down Shane Burgos, which is a nice look. He went to war with Shane, and Shane's a really good fighter. He's a top 10 featherweight, so he went to war. Unfortunately, he took the L, but looked really good in a loss. His striking is really good. His jiu-jitsu is sneaky. He is a very, very, very good ground game. And again, the cardio is literally infinite. Super high volume, never stops throwing, and he breaks you just with sheer volume alone. That seems like the opposite you need if you're Alex Hernandez, and especially if you're dropping a weight class. Sometimes dropping a weight class hurts your cardio, so this could be absolute murder. Billy Q is not the greatest fighter in the world, but he knows he has infinite cardio and he uses it, kind of like an early Clay Guida. So the pick is going to be Billy Q. The bet is definitely going to be Billy Q, and I'm going to have a lot of Billy Q everywhere. I love him in this matchup. The next fight of the night, we have probably one of the people's main event, the Action Man, Chris Curtis at plus 135, going up against Numansa Joaquin Buckley, minus 155. Over under again, 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 150. Under 1.5 at plus 120. Let's start with Numansa, because Numansa's not terrible. He did impress me in his last fight in a L, just like Billy Q impressed me in a L. I think of the world of Imavov, and he gave Nazardine a dough in the third round. The first round, he got absolutely outclassed, probably 10-8. Second round didn't look too good either. Third round, Buckley usually tires out, but he looked fine round 3 and actually put it on almost 10-8 Imavov in the third round. So that was an impressive look. He's pretty good power, pretty good striking. His cardio, again, I've seen it look awful. I've seen it look really, really bad against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Then I saw it look good against Imavov. So you never know what version you're going to get. He is a little chinny, so that's very, very concerning in this matchup. When you look at him, he has 5 losses. He has 1 by decision, the aforementioned Imavov. Then D. Jericho knocked him out. That did not age well. Kevin Holland knocked him out. It is what it is. Logan Storley decision. It's not a bad look anymore. Then whoever this Jackie guy is knocked him out in the first round as well. So, and I've seen him rocked in other fights. So let's not act like that was the only time. He was a little hurt in the Jordan right match and the Abdul. Like he's had moments where he looked a little shaky on his feet. So yeah, if the chin is one of the biggest issues, chin and cardio are his issues. The problem with that is he's fighting Action Man Chris Curtis, which just like Billy Q, weaponizes his cardio. The man also has infinite cardio and he hits like a truck. So that is not a good combination for Buckley here. Chris Curtis has 100% takedown defense in the UFC, and by God, he earned that with 20 stuffed takedown. Buckley also fights at welterweight at times. So you have 2 welterweights going at it at middleweight. They're finally fighting someone their size. So at that juncture, the pick is going to be Chris Curtis. The matchup is too perfect, and I have not the slightest clue how he's a dog. Pick is Chris Curtis. The bet is Chris Curtis. Next fight of the night is a prove it spot. We have Edmund Shabazian at minus 280 going up against Dolce Ungiambella at plus 235. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 140. Under 1.5 at plus 110. Let's start with Edmund, because I like Edmund, man. I think he's good. I think he's sneaky good. His record, it's just he's struggling right now, but you got to look at what's going on. You got to look at the whole story. First and foremost, he left his team with Ronda Rousey. He now has a new fight camp, which I think was needed. He's only 25 years old, so let's not write this kid off yet. He has very, very, very good striking, hits extremely hard. If you knock out Brad Tavares, you hit hard. Constantly moves forward. He does slow down a little. That's not good. He has a little bit of a gas tank issue. He is a little bit hittable, not my favorite. But when you look at it, I mean, he has 3 straight losses, yes, but he lost to Derek Brunson, who was 1 fight away from the title. He lost to Jack Hermanson, who was 1 fight away from the title. Then he fought Nasruddin Imavov, who I just talked about. I'm very, very high on. Like, he fought 3 top 10 fighters in the division. Yes, he went 0-3, but they're all top 10, so cut the kid a little slack. Again, he's 25 years old. And the one thing, my favorite angle ever, is when you have a young kid that takes a year or 2 off, not because of injury. They come back and they always look phenomenal. This kid switched camps and now is coming back after a year off. It's barely a year. It was November 6th of last year, but unless there's some injury I didn't see or hear about, and he just took a year to develop himself, I expect the best Edmund Shabazian that we've ever seen. On the flip side, Dolce, he can take a year off all he wants. It doesn't matter. We've seen the best of Dolce. Dolce is not a 25-year-old prospect. Dolce is 35 years old. He's predominantly a striker, although he does mix in a lot of wrestling. Again, Edmund struggles with cardio and his wrestling, but he's been working on it. Dolce himself is pretty hittable. He's fought some decent guys. He fought Ankalaev, who's on the card later, fighting for a title. But Dolce's cardio is a little sketchy as well. He will have a 2-inch reach advantage here, which is nice for him. But you can back him up, and that's not good because Edmund loves to go forward. He feels more comfortable going forward. And Dolce also just got starched by Puna Soriano literally 4 months ago. So he's a little susceptible to going out at the current moment. He's also on a 3-fight losing streak. I don't know, man. Dolce, it just seems like the UFC is trying to get Edmund right. Dolce's the perfect stylistic matchup for him outside of the wrestling, but again, he doesn't seem to hold you down too often, even if he does get you down. And as Edmund slows, hopefully Dolce slows as well. And on the feet, I will give the advantage to Edmund. Edmund hits extremely hard and fast. So the pick is going to be Edmund. The bet is going to be Edmund, and I do hope the kid gets back on track. Next fight of the night, we have Jairzinho Rosenstruck minus 170 going up against Chris Daukaus at plus 145. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 plus 125. Under 1.5 minus 155. Again, 1.5. They expect an action-packed night on Saturday. Let's start with Rosenstruck. He's the main reason it's 1.5 because the kid hits absolutely like a truck. I mean, he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here. Clear cut striking advantage here. The only problem with Rosenstruck is that he doesn't fucking throw. He doesn't throw anything. He's very, very low volume. 34 years old. 75% takedown defense, and that says something. I mean, he fought Curtis Blades, he fought Alistair Overeem, he fought some people that will shoot takedowns, so it's not like he fought nobodies in that department. Cyril Gane. At the end of the day, just listen to the names I said: Cyril Gane, Volkov, Curtis Blades, Sakai, JDS, Francis. Like, he's fought the who's who in the heavyweight division. He's very, very good at counter striking, which is a good thing considering he throws so little, so he needs something. But if you throw and he catches you, you go out. The dude hits hard. He has no ground game. He has no offensive wrestling, but again, he can stuff a takedown. And when you're forced to stand with him, although he doesn't throw often, when he does, you feel it. And when you feel it, you usually go out. On the flip side, we have Chris Daukaus, who also has some pretty good striking. His jiu-jitsu, apparently on paper, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but I never see it because he never wrestles. Problem with Chris is that he's very, very small. He's not a heavyweight. He's a light heavyweight, and he predicates his whole game on speed and power. He wants to be the fastest heavyweight out there. And, I mean, his last weigh-in, he weighed in at, like, 230. I mean, just cut the weight. Just go down to light heavyweight, because although the speed helped initially when he's fighting the Nascimentos and the Oliniks and the Shamils of the world, when you get into that upper echelon with Derek Lewis, who's a big boy but just as fast, with Curtis Blades, who's a big boy but just as fast, what are you going to do? Like, that's very, very concerning, because I hit a hell of a lot harder than you do. I mean, Chris hits decently hard, but he might be a little chinny. I mean, Derek Lewis, obviously, if Derek Lewis hits you, you go out, but he was out cold, and it was a pretty short uppercut. It was a short punch. Curtis Blades is not known for one hit knockout power, and he put him out cold in Columbus. I remember watching that live. I was there, and it just was weird. Curtis didn't even wrestle. So is Daukaus going to come out and wrestle Rosenstruck? Even if he tries, I don't think his wrestling's good enough to get the job done. So I don't know. I think Chris is in some serious trouble here. The pick is going to be Rosenstruck. The bet is going to be Rosenstruck. Yeah, that's just the way I'm playing it. I think he starches him. He has 15 minutes to catch him once. That's all it's going to take for him to take out Chris. Next fight of the night, we have some controversy. We have the main event of the prelims. We have Jay Perrin as a plus 200 dog going up against Raul Rosas Jr. minus 240. Over 2.5 is minus 135. Under 2.5 plus 105. The world, the UFC wants Raul to win. Raul is a phenomenal wrestler. Raul is a Dana White Contender Series graduate. Raul is a very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Raul seemed to have okay cardio. He has exciting striking. It's not good. It's not technical. It's not very good at all, but it's wild and it's fun to watch. But the problem is Raul is 18. The kid is 8 and freshly 18. When the kid fought in the Contender Series, he was 17 years old. He won. He looked impressive, but he was 17. He just now turned 18. He's undefeated in the UFC. I don't know if he's just way in over his head. The kid has skills. The kid could be a future world champion. Do not get me wrong. But are they pushing him too soon? That's the concerning part. It does remind me a lot of Charles. When Chucky O first came in, he was only 20 years old. All he had was a jiu-jitsu black belt and wild striking. That's all he had. That's what does Roses have? Really good wrestling, really good jiu-jitsu. That it's the same exact thing. On the flip side, we have Jay Perrin. 10-6, but don't let the record fool you. He's not great. He's not good. But he's not bad anywhere. And the thing with Jay is the camp he's at. He is currently training with Marab and Aljo. And if there's any way to beat a person that can only wrestle, is to train with Marab and Aljo. I mean, I don't think Rosas is a better wrestler than those two. So good luck. On the flip side, he's fought Richie Lang in a pretty close fight, Mario Batista in a close fight. Those are good fighters. Yes, he's 0-2 in the UFC. Both of those fighters are good, man. Diego Silva on the regional scene, I know who that is. Like, he's not bad. Like, this kid is not bad at all. He's kind of like a wrestle boxer. Like, he just wants to keep it on the feet. He will have a 2-inch reach advantage here. He's awfully durable, has never been knocked out. 64% takedown defense. Now that's the concerning part fighting Rosas, but the good thing is he has no worries on the feet really with Rosas. He just has to worry about the takedown. So when he's more adamant about stuffing those, he just has to make sure he gets his offense off while he's on the feet. I think this is another setup spot for the UFC, but I don't know if it's gonna work, man. I think Rosa should win. I will always take the wrestler over the striker, but if you're training with Marab and Aljo and all you have to do is stuff a takedown, I'm going to give you a shot. And it's a grown man against an 18-year-old. I mean, how old is he? He's 29 years old. He's my age. He's a grown man going up against a 7. If I fought a 17 or 18-year-old right now, I sure as hell hope I would win. So I I love the wrestling advantage, but I'm going to take Raul to win, but I'll pick Jay as the dog because money is only coming in on Raul. So if Jay's line keeps growing, I'm going to end up taking the shot on Jay Perrin. And then we're into our main card. And the first fight of the night is the best fight on the card. We have Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell plus 115 going up against who I call Mini Jorge Ilya Taporia at minus 135. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 130. Under 2.5 at plus 100. Let's start with Thug Nasty. 15-0, baby. Straight off the Ultimate Fighter a few seasons back. Really, 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 really good wrestling. Arkansas, baby. Good jiu-jitsu. Again, you'll see the highlight of the first ever twister. They'll show that 1,000,001 times. On the feet, has shown improvements. Everyone's going to talk about the knockdown over Edson Barbosa. Yeah, it was nice to see, but I just don't think Edson was expecting that. He's only 28, he's 15-0. Throws a ton of kicks when he's on the feet, surprisingly, but he catches a ton of kicks as well. That's his main. I noticed a lot of times when I watched him fight oh my god, kid from Team Alpha Male, Andre Fili, when I watched him fight Edson, a lot of his takedowns were off of caught kicks. So that's interesting to me also because there's a difference between Greco-Roman and folk style wrestling. Folk style, you have a lot of shooting on legs, a lot of single legs, a lot of double legs. That's nice. It's the best wrestling in my opinion. But for MMA, it's tough when you're going against someone shorter than you and you're only shooting on their legs. I watched a ton of Bryce Mitchell fight tape, and they were all single and double leg takedowns, literally. On the flip side, we have Ilya Taporia, who's the short, stocky guy, which is going to make it extremely tough for Bryce to get the takedown. He currently has 100% takedown defense. Again, no one is trying to take him down right now, though. Only 25 years old. Great jiu-jitsu. Very, very, very good jiu-jitsu. Wrestling, very good. Striking, good. Hits like a truck. He can be hittable at times, but he hits extremely hard. He's a little low volume as well. I do love the body work he puts in, and Bryce has slowed down in the past, so that is something to keep an eye on. He's also undefeated, but for Ilya, make sure you keep an eye on the weigh-ins. He has had to pull out a few fights because of bad weight cuts, so make sure he's looking okay on the scale. So all in all, you have a wrestler and a jiu-jitsu practitioner going up. It's a wrestler, jiu-jitsu practitioner. Wash in wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Striking, both low volume, but I will give the slight edge to Ilya. In regards to, that's it. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to leave it at that. So if neither one are able to take each other down, they're forced to stand up. I think it's Ilya all day. I love Ilya Taporia in this matchup. I almost locked them, to be 100% honest with you. I think the value is on Bryce Mitchell, but just the way he gets the takedowns, just the way he works his game, Ilya is going to be one step ahead. So, again, he's only 25. He could have room for improvement, or he could go out there and kind of crumble. Who knows? But as of right now, just the way the cookies crumble, the pick is going to be Ilya. The bet is going to be Ilya Taporia. I think he gets the job done. All right, next fight of the night is a weird one, man. We have Darren Till at plus 155 going up against Driscus Duplessis at minus 180. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is plus 195. Under 2.5 at minus 145. Most of that is because of Driscus. Driscus is weird, man. I don't think he's that good. I do think he's overrated, and I'm trying to fade this guy, but I can't. He keeps getting good matchups for himself. He has really good striking, sneaky good ground game that no one gives him credit for. His wrestling's not terrible. It's not good, but he knows what he's doing. Like he's not that bad of a fighter. It's just the hype behind him gets me a little concerned. Super high volume, throws everything in combinations, 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. He charges forward throwing combinations, but his chin is way up in the air asking to get countered. One of these days he's going to find a counter striker and go the fuck out. All in all, he looks good when he's going forward. He doesn't look the best when he's going backwards. His cardio, that's a concern. It looks like he always is just mouth breathing gassed at the end of round one. But when he fought Brad Tavares his last fight, he went all 3 rounds. He somehow even won the 3rd round. Like he caught a second win. So I don't know if it was just the crowd pumping him up, or if he has a second gear that he can go to, or what's happening here. But he generally looks extremely tired and just wasn't on that night. This one's also in front of a crowd. So could that happen again? Maybe. On the flip side, Darren Till, I just told you I don't really believe in Driscus. I don't believe in Till. I think Till's extremely overrated. He's a okay striker, but not any volume whatsoever. Takedown defense, 78%, not bad. But he's a little hittable himself. The thing with Till is he likes to counter. So this has a counter left hook written all over it, putting Driscus out. Striking is all he has, unless he turns into D1 Darren as he was hanging out and training with Hamza. I don't think they hang out any longer, so I don't know what happened with that bromance. But if he picks something up during it and D1 Darren comes out, that'd be nice. But he will have the cardio advantage. He slows down in fights too, but I've seen him go 5 rounds before. He has enough cardio. He will have the advantage at least. So if you have striker versus striker, I think it's 50-50. If Driscus decides to wrestle, Till doesn't have the best ground game, but he's a 78% takedown defense. Even though Driscus can wrestle a little bit, I don't know if it's enough to get Till down. And if that is his game plan, he's going to gas himself out doing it. So I think this is going to be a striking affair. I think Driscus is going to have the volume, but Till is going to have 15 minutes to catch him. And you have plus 155 over on the Till side. Give me that. Give me Till by knockout, honestly, or it could go to decision. All in all, the fans love Till. Till is in desperate need of a win, and I think he can get the job done. So the pick is going to be Darren Till. The bet is going to end up being Darren Till as well. Next fight of the night, we have what a lot of people will consider the main event. Oh, Patty the Batty at minus 255. Jared Gordon at plus 210. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 plus 115. Under 2.5 minus 145. Hear me out. I don't think Patty the Batty is that good. Everyone wants to fade. Every diehard wants to fade Patty Pimblett. It's just you have to choose the right moment. Stop betting the Jordan Levitts of the world. Stop betting the Vargases of the world. You have to catch the right moment. Is Jared Gordon the right guy? The answer is no. Patty, 5-inch reach advantage. Patty, infinite cardio like others on the card. Really, really, really good jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is, the ground game is the best part of his entire game. Only 27 years old, so his striking is starting to catch up a little with his ground game. It's a little sloppy. It's a little wild. It's more of a brawl than a technical affair, but he hits extremely hard. Can he get chin checked? Absolutely. Has he ever gone out? No. He's a pretty strong. He has a pretty good chin, even though you can rock him. Again, his wrestling, not the greatest. It's not bad, but it's not good. Especially if he's a ground game guy, you wish it was a little better, but it is what it is. He's just a defensive liability on the feet, man. He hits so goddamn hard, but he's so goddamn easy to hit. So I don't know. I think with him being 27, he needs a slow build. Jordan Levitt, perfect. Rodrigo Vargas, perfect. Jared Gordon, the perfect appropriate step up. Jared Gordon, all power to the guy, but his striking's all right. He's pretty fast on the feet, in all honesty. His strikes are extremely fast. His losses, yeah, he has 5 losses, but they're the good competition. I mean, Grant Dawson's good. Charles Oliveira, former champ. Joaquim Silva is all right. Diego Fiera, good. Jeff Luntz, it is what it is. He's a greasy Philly guy. That's concerning because they are on a losing streak. It all started with Pat Sabatini. Then we had Dawkins, or does Dawkins train there? I don't know. I know he's from Philly. We had Sean Brady go out. God, they're all losing. Who else just lost? It was Sabatini, Brady. They're all losing right now, so it's not a good time to be in that camp right now. All in all, Jared, 58% takedown defense. He doesn't have the best takedown defense, and even though Patty doesn't have the best wrestling, it might be good enough to get him down. He seems to like throws a lot of hit tosses. It could be something he catches Jared in. Jared has pretty decent volume. But he can slow down a touch at times. He generally has some bad weight cuts when he's going down to 145. He can't make 145, so he's forced to fight a weight class up at 155, which results in him being a little chinny because he's not at the right weight class. So again, he is someone that's been tapped out multiple times, someone that doesn't have the best takedown defense, and someone that is small for the weight class with a little bit of a chin problem. Sounds like someone that Patty the Batty can beat. Someone with a chin problem because he hits hard. Someone he could submit because he's a submission guy, and his last loss was by submission. And then someone that could slow down sometimes, and Patty has infinite cardio. They're trying to set Patty up. Jared Gooden's a good fighter. Is he world class? No. Is he a decent name? Yeah. Is it perfect for Patty? Yeah, it's a setup fight. The pick is going to be Patty. The bet is going to be Patty. We're going to fade, just not this time. Then that takes us to the main event. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. I don't know what's wrong with you for not doing it yet. Make sure you give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, taking over one platform at a time. And we're in the main event. We have Jan Blachowicz plus 235 going up against Magomed Ankalaev minus 280. Over under set at 3.5. Over 3.5 is minus 105. Under 3.5 at minus 125. Let's start with Jan, the former champ. Polish power, man. He's good. He has really good striking, really good wrestling. Jiu-jitsu, sneaky good. No one gives him credit for his ground game. It's pretty decent. We even saw his last fight. He almost completed a triangle on whatchamacallit, the guy, the overrated kid, Rockage. He's 39 years old. That's an issue. He will have a 3-inch reach advantage here, which is nice. His cardio is fine. It checks out. We've seen him go 5 rounds before with Izzy. 66% takedown defense. That's a little concerning. So the thing with Jan, you've also seen him get put out. The lights got put out by Thiago Santos. We saw him choked out by Glover. Lost to Pat Cummins doesn't look good. All in all, we've seen him grind it as well. We've seen him just grind it out most of the times. Jimmy Manua, Corey Anderson just took him down repeatedly and grinded. Same with whatchamacallit. Rockage was doing so before his leg snapped. So all in all, I think Jan is good. He was champ for a reason. He has a championship experience. He's not bad anywhere. But what you can do is you can catch him or you can grind him out, the 39-year-old man. Magomed, that's exactly all he tries to do. He's not exciting by any means. I personally had a bet that Magomed would be champ at the end of the year. So I'm hoping that comes through. He's 18-1. He's truly 19-0. His one loss is to Paul Craig. He beat the shit out of Paul Craig and got caught in a triangle at 4 minutes and 59 seconds in the third round. He tapped. He literally tapped with 1 second left. Like it's insane. It was the biggest comeback ever. And that's his only loss. So the kid's good. Everywhere. He's a good striker. He's extremely durable. He's been rocked before, but he took the best shot Thiago Santos had and was going to live to talk about it. Wrestling is sneaky good, but he doesn't use it enough. I'd like to see him shoot a lot more. He only averages like 1 or 2 takedown attempts per fight. But when he shoots them, he gets them. So it's weird. Jiu-jitsu's again, it's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. I think on the feet, it's pretty close. I think that Magomed probably has a striking advantage. Wrestling, probably Magomed. Schedule, they both fought some pretty decent people. It's 50-50. Cardio, pretty 50-50. So I'm going to take the younger guy. Magomed's 30 years old, and I think he's just a hair better everywhere. It's not a fun main event. Don't get me wrong. It is not going to be exciting at all unless Magomed goes out there and gets a finish or Jan does. It's not going to be that fun. But as long as you have the winning side, you're good. I totally understand the Jan betting. He's a great value here at plus 235. I think Magomed wins, though. So the pick is going to be Magomed. The bet's going to be Magomed. And if you have a parlay that's still going, make sure you hedge with Jan because this fight's closer than the odds indicate, but I think the right guy is favored. And that's UFC 282 in a nutshell. Again, it could have been one of the best cards of the year. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights fall off. But it is what it is. Losing Bo Nickel, losing the main event. It is what it is. You know what? I am so sorry. They added one more fight here, and I didn't even mention it. We had Santiago Ponzinibbio going up against Alex Morono. I'll just give a quick run through as this was just added. Santiago is good, very good striking, decent wrestling. 36 years old is concerning. Jiu-jitsu's all right. American Top Team's a great camp to be at. Yes, he's on a losing streak, but he lost a split to Jeff Neal and a split to Michel Pereira. Those are 2 good fighters. Those are 2 top 10 welterweights. Don't forget he came out, destroyed Miguel Bieza, and he got knocked out by the Leech, but the Leech is good, and that was coming off of like a 3-year layoff. So all in all, he's 36. He's trying to give it one last shot. He has some pretty notable wins here. He's pretty good. On the flip side, Alex Morono is one of the guys I hate the most, the Great White. I can't stand this guy, but I can respect him. He's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner, but he refuses to wrestle. He's only wrestled in 1 fight in his entire career. That was against Reese McKee. I remember because he's never shot a takedown, and then he decided to in that fight, and it threw me off. His striking's okay. It's not very good, but you talk about going forward. He pressures forward like he does not stop going forward. So it's going to be interesting as they both fight that way. Morono's the better jiu-jitsu practitioner, but again, he does not wrestle. He's taking this fight on extremely short notice, less than a week's notice. The catch weight's at 180. I don't know who that benefits. So at this juncture, I do want to let you know that Morono does have a little bit of a suspect chin as well. I call it a KSW chin. A KWS chin, which is a knockout waiting to happen. I mean, you look at like the Usmans of the world. They kept getting rocked but never put out, and then eventually got put out. This is Morono. He's just waiting to get put out. He has. Don't get me wrong. He already has. Whatchamacallit, Chaos Williams did. But outside of that, he gets rocked in like every fight. So I think Morono's good. I don't think I give him enough credit. But if he's just going to stand up there and brawl, all Santiago does is brawl. It's just perfect for him. So the pick is going to be Santiago. The bet, they're both people that like to go forward and brawl. I think the under hit. So if the under's plus money, it's probably going to be another 1.5. Give me the under. Pick is Santiago, bet's going to be the under. And again, I'm sorry if that got thrown in there, but again, that is UFC 282. Give the video a like, subscribe, and let's win some money this weekend, baby. Let's get it.